Hello. Welcome back to Are You Ready for Your Inspection? I hope you are good. Thank you for listening. If I haven't said this before, click on the subscribe so that you will be able to be alerted, I suppose, when we do another podcast. The podcast goes out every Monday, and the reason that our podcasts go out every Monday is because I feel like I want to give you something to work towards for the week, almost like an action, almost something like that, really. So that's why they go out every Monday. They go out every Monday at 7 o'clock, fingers crossed. If technology works, then yeah. So today's podcast is all about for all those settings. So for example, that are outstanding already and they are waiting for their next inspection, or for settings who are striving to be outstanding. So we do an awful lot of podcasts where we talk about what it is that you need to be doing, of things that we've seen. So for example, health and safety, invisible child, all of those little golden nuggets basically. But I wanted to do a number of podcasts for talking about the grade descriptors and talking about what you need to do to get that grade. Now, I want to go back actually, because sometimes, so let me start at the very beginning. 7 years ago, or nearly 8 years ago, when Jigsaw was born, I came from a background of early years inspecting, but I was also group managing for a number of day nurseries in Hampshire. And we had, all those many years ago, and actually we were talking about it, so it was like 2014, we had this real passion to be outstanding. And thinking about it now, my God, that was a lot of pressure. And it started when we got outstanding on our first setting, and then going and thinking, right, so that worked, let's look at the formula and think, right, what is it that we can do to go to the next setting? So that is how we did it. And I have to say, it had so much stress on me personally, as group manager of those settings, but also on the managers as well in those settings, because to achieve outstanding is bloomin' hard. Now, 14 years ago on the day, you can have outstanding and also have a recommendation, but that has all changed now in the new early years, the new education inspection framework. So to achieve outstanding, you can't have any recommendations, and that's the problem, because I really struggle with that personally. I struggle with that because if you don't have any recommendations, there are a number of settings, and I don't, if you're listening to this and going, Vanessa, it's not me, that's fine, but there will be a number of settings that just think, well, we've got outstanding, we don't need to do any more now, we'll wait till 6 months before we're due for the next inspection, and we'll work on what we're doing now. Now, you and I both know, if you're listening to this, that actually you cannot be outstanding every day. I know that, you know that, but we can strive to be the best we possibly can every day. And our remit at Jigsaw has gone from, and that was my remit 7 years ago, was helping settings to achieve outstanding. That's what I said I could do, and that's what I said I did do, and that's what I did. I would go into settings, help them to achieve those outstanding grades, and then move on to the next one. However, it's now turned around and actually helping more those settings who are needing a little bit of help to actually be compliant. So from being outstanding to being compliant, that's where my remit has gone. So this podcast is, I want to talk to you more about the outstanding grade and what this means. And I wanted to read something to you from the, I need my glasses on this, so bear with me. So reading it in the inspection handbook, it says, to reach a judgment of outstanding, it says on number 175, it says, outstanding is a challenging and exacting judgment. In order to reach this standard, inspectors will need to determine whether the early years provision meets all the criteria set out under good for that judgment and does so securely and consistently. So in other words, it is not enough that the provision is strong against some aspects of the judgment and not against others, and it must meet each and every criterion. In addition, there are further criterion set out understanding the outstanding judgment, all of which the provision will also need to meet. Provision should only be judged outstanding in a particular area it is performing exceptionally, and this exceptional performance in that area is consistent and secure across the whole provision. So this is where it's really important to have a clear understanding of what outstanding is. And so the grade descriptors for provisions overall, for outstanding, it means that the quality of education is outstanding. So there's no recommendations in that. You have to make sure, and this is where the problem lies, is the fact that you've got a number of rooms. So say you're a large nursery, for example, say you've got over 100 children a day, you're going to have five or 6 rooms. How do you ensure that actually the quality of education is consistently outstanding in all of those areas? And that's where one bit of advice that I would take is you actually need to treat each of your rooms as a separate, say we're saying a nursery, for example, a separate nursery. So for example, you've got a baby room, they've got 15 children, that is one nursery. That is what you need to take it. Rather than seeing it as a great big whole, you need to break each room down and basically treat them as if they're in an individual setting, because that will help you break those big steps into smaller steps, and those smaller steps will be achievable. And that's where you can focus on the staff team, the what's going on in the setting, in that room, especially in the quality of education. To get outstanding again, for a provision's overall effectiveness, you need to be making sure that safeguarding is effective. We all know that. That's a standard across all of them except for inadequate. That's when that is not effective, and that there will be no breaches in the EYFS standards. No breaches in it at all to be outstanding. So I've written some pointers down to actually help you think about to achieve outstanding or maintain outstanding. And first of all, if you're listening to this and you've got outstanding and you're trying to maintain it, really, I send you so much love. I send you so much luck. And actually, whatever you've been doing from your last inspection, make sure that you carry on doing it and you're constantly reflecting. So the whole point, I've written some things down for you. So continuous professional development, ensure that all staff engage in ongoing training and professional development to keep up to date with anything that's going on. And if you were outstanding and you're now due another inspection, that's 6 years. 6 years is such a long time. And I think that all these things need to be changing. And one of the things I always say is, if you always do what you always do, you'll always get what you always get. So you need to really be ongoing and upskilling and looking at all of those things that improves on your teaching practice and ensuring that everyone is committed. Now, from 6 years ago, you're not going to have the same staff. We know what the recruitment crisis is. We've had COVID since then, and actually you're not going to have the same staff. So are all of your team, are they all on the bus with you? That's what you need to be thinking about. You need to be making sure that you prioritise the needs of the children, and that the interest, the children, the planning, the engaging, the age appropriate activities that actually stimulate learning and development. You need to be outstanding. You need to have strong leadership and management. So effective leadership is really crucial. You need to be able to maintain those high standards that you had before or that you're reaching for. If you're a leader or a manager listening to this, you need to be visionary. You need to have clear expectations. You cannot be a leader or a manager that just sits in the office all the time. You need to know what's going out on the shop floor. You need to be ongoing. You need to be thinking about how your staff and you are get everybody on the bus is really important. You need to make sure that there is a culture, an excellent culture in your setting, and actually you're regularly reviewing policies, procedures, staff performance is key, and ongoing, and making sure that it's effective and it's efficient of what you're doing. You need to, outstanding again, need to be engaging parents and carers, and ongoing. And you need to think of different strokes for different folks, because not every parent will want to have that collaboration with you as the next parent. So you need to be thinking about creating a stimulating environment, and making sure that that environment is child-led and also it is safe. That is a real key thing. Risk assessments, checklists, health and safety, all of that. You need to make sure you've got regular, accurate assessments on children, and your key people in those children's life have a real clear understanding of where those children are and what their next steps are. What's the intention? Safeguarding, we know that is a no-brainer. You need to get that right. Community involvement. You think about what you're doing in your community. Think about how can you ensure that your community is involved in your setting. So for example of this, if you've got parents in your setting that have English as additional language, what are you doing to help them understand what's going on? How are you including them and making sure that your environment is inclusive and you're engaging with them? Bring them in, ask them to talk to the children in their language, showcase, think about those cultures and how you're bringing that into your setting. That is really, really important. Reflective practice is a no-brainer. Reflective practice encourages a culture of reflection, and actually you need to be ongoing that. So think about what I said at the beginning of this podcast, and think about what you're doing to each room being their own setting. And that's what you need to be thinking about. So actually, how reflective are they? Do they self-evaluate? Do they think what, so what, and now what? All of those things need to be coming into play. And actually, you need to think, it's not just, I know the subject of this podcast is about being ready for your inspection. I know that, but some of those things that I'm doing is actually helping you to think, evaluate and think what you can do every day to ensure that you're the best you possibly can be. And actually maintaining outstanding is harder than achieving outstanding. So you need to be thinking about what you've been doing. If you're maintaining your outstanding grade or want to maintain your outstanding grade, what are you doing from 6 years ago to actually achieve that? It is a long-standing event. You need to be evaluative and prepare for it every day, and treat every day as if it is an Ofsted day. And I know that's really hard to say, and you're listening to this and go, really, Vanessa? And I get that completely. But think about what you are doing and what is it, which is why it's really good. And I always say this when you do self-evaluation, is have a floor book from that journey of when you got outstanding before to where you got outstanding, or you're aiming to get outstanding against, because that is the journey. Your inspector's not going to have seen that because they only got a snapshot. So actually, if you started putting all of this in the floor book, which is why we did the Just Quality Accreditation, because we wanted to give you guidelines on how to showcase this when you have your inspections. So if you're interested in the Just Quality Accreditation, let us know. Contact us on admin@jigsaweyc.com, and we would help you out on what we do. But also, that's, I'm not asking you to go and purchase anything. I'm asking you to be sure that you evaluate every day what you do and think about the what, the so what, and the now what. So I hope that helps. I hope that helps you if you are outstanding and aiming to achieve an outstanding again, or aiming to be outstanding. You need to think outside the box. You need to think how unique you are. You need to think about what is it that you are doing differently to ensure those needs of every child in your setting is being achieved. I hope you have a great week. I hope the weather's kind to you. We all love a little bit of a blue sky, and I will see you next week. Take good care.